All right, so I just played that video now, so people can see a few of his backhand. We're gonna analyze that just a little bit, and then always from having a world-class coach out there, it's always fun to get some feedback and see if we see. Kind of feel safe with them, right? When you hit them. All right. All right. So, Jonathan, so I have the control, unfortunately, here, but I'm gonna let's gonna go start and tell me what you think. So, what do we start with? Let's see.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say, I'm going to start with something I like.
Yes,
I like his balance.
Okay.
So when he's hitting and he's finishing, he's not really falling over. He's not really leaning anywhere too much. I mean, that's something I see with a lot of people right off the bat is they might have a decent grip, decent swing, and it just looks like they're on roller skates. At least he looks really grounded, really solid.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
finishes, he looks under control. So I do love that out of him.
Okay.
Um, from this video, you can help me more with this. What grip does he have with his left hand?
With his left hand right here, I mean, like he's supposed to have with the left hand like a lefty. I want him to play with a lefty Eastern, like like
Yep.
he would have left. The top hand would be the forehand hand, so I
Mhm.
want him like to be like Eastern there. Sometimes I feel like he grips a little bit too much around. Like
It looks a little semi to me.
yes, yes, yeah. I want him with a strong Eastern or Eastern, but sometimes as you saw, yeah, he grips a little bit around. And bottom hand, we just changed. The bottom hand was too far like this. So
Mhm.
we changed it. I try to change it to continental, which he's trying to have there. But yes, I agree. I personally like to have the top hand Eastern because I feel like you can maneuver the ball better. So.
Absolutely. And the reason I asked that, so the two main things that I
Yeah,
would say about his backhand, if you go to contact,
yeah,
if you can freeze around contact, it looks super crammed to me.
yes, yes,
You're getting like claustrophobic just looking at that. And sometimes, like if his grip was very far over,
yeah,
okay, maybe grip has is why he wants to do that, but he's very tight to his body. I think if
yes.
we were looking straight down the line, he could probably be like 6 inches farther from his torso hitting that ball, better extension.
Yes, and that's what I tell him. When obviously the grip determines to a high bit. Where your contact is going to be. So if you have the top grip more like to semi-western, your contact going to be closer. He's way too far, as you said. So that's
Mhm.
one thing for sure. And I always tell them, your ideal contact is like kind of 45 degree. I always use like diagonal kind of in front of you, right? So I
Mhm.
try to show him always, where it's supposed to be. So maybe, and that's why I like doing this. Maybe focusing a little bit on that grip a little bit more. Maybe that's going to solve a little bit too, like to have his contact a little bit more out and in front.
And something, I mean, I play a lot of golf and I
Mhm.
just like it, but my wife used to be a pro golfer and a pro golf coach. So she coaches me. And so it helps me get in the mind of Harrison because
Mhm.
I'm not a pro golfer. So
Mhm.
I have struggles and she'll tell me things and it's difficult for me to change.
Mhm.
I would also say if you look at this and you go, okay, your backhand's not where you want to be and you're too close,
Mhm.
you need to maybe dedicate like an hour on the ball machine where you're too far away
Mhm.
and you are likely to hit every shot poorly because you're not used to it and whatever. But you go, you know what? I know being close is not the answer. And so it's very difficult to let go of a result like that and be willing to suck at it for a while. But, just simply put, yes, we can maybe tweak the grip or whatever, but
Yeah.
he's got to get outside that shell and that zone and break through and just go, you know what? I'm going to try one where it feels like I'm way out here.
Yeah, I like that.
And I'm going to do it one time and see what it feels like. And then I can go back to what is correct.
Mhm.
And maybe I'm already kind of resetting my brain on what's normal. So sometimes it is just as simple as like you tell someone, yeah, get it farther away, but you go too far away. And I'll let you know when you get there. And a lot of times
I
they
I
never they
like
never
that.
get there.
I like that approach, working with exaggeration. And then, Jonathan, what do you think? What I like to do is, as you can see on the bottom here, this is like the sideline where my arrow is. So
Hmm.
there are two things I like to do. Um, I like to feed the ball as good as I can. I'm gonna straight to that line so he has a visual. So like you said, I'll positioning him. I'll show him where the ideal contact point will be. and I
Mm-hmm.
let him stand there only first without moving up there. And I try to be as precise as I can to feed the ball along the line. So that's one thing. You think that that helps a little bit, if I can get it right there and he's standing at the right distance and hits every ball to feel it.
Absolutely. So that single sideline,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you could do with the backhand here. So I'd have both feet in the singles court,
Yeah,
and then I will toss a ball into the doubles alley
perfect.
exactly where I think the strike zone is, and I'll say
Yeah.
you cannot step inside the doubles alley.
Okay, great. I like that
And so
too.
they'll step forward in a straight line, and whatever. If my toss ends up being too far away,
Mm-hmm.
then the stroke looks bad. I go, hey, my fault, no problem. But at least you didn't step for, you didn't step across, you didn't get jammed, and then they start to feel that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're not moving, but that just gives them a feel for maybe what the right contact point would be.
I like that too. And what do you think about what I like to do on the forehand side? Obviously, we see those videos where they catch with the left hand,
Mm-hmm.
on the other side. What do you think about just doing it with the right hand on the other side and then just catching the ball with the right hand and you self-toss yourself the ball at that spot and then it's more complicated to get the two-handed grip then, but I feel like too, just to catch it across your body, just triggers maybe a little bit too, to have the right contact.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. And when you look at him right here and you see how cramped that right arm is,
Yeah.
at least you're going to be getting more extension and
Mhm.
having him feel the idea of turning with extension. So yeah, I like that.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's keep going. So
So he's close to himself, and then if you go to the follow through,
yeah. Yeah.
so you freeze on contact, he's tight, and then you see this follow through,
Yeah.
and
This one is actually like, wait, I'll show you. I know where you want to go to. Let me give you I
yeah,
think that was the last one where it's like really jammed with the right elbow, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's like super tight, and
Yeah.
they're all in that range, right? And
Yeah.
all these things work together.
Mhm.
But he's already jammed, so he's swinging more across himself, and then he's got the low right elbow. And I would love on the follow through if his right and left elbow were similar heights and
Mhm.
his hands were above his eyes.
Yes.
So he's
I love that.
yeah,
And
he's lifting and he's got the high follow through.
yeah.
You see where his hands are there. It's like
Yeah.
chin level.
And I love that. And that's why I love have someone like you on there. Uh, that's what we worked on yesterday, and I'm going to put a video up there actually in the next days. We worked on that follow through that he finishes like above his shoulders, and as you said, and I always tell the player when they're done with the finish that they can put a volleyball under their armpits. That's how much
Like
like
that.
they're supposed to follow through and get up there. And yeah, totally couldn't agree more. Jonathan, one question: do you what do you think about that? That's when at the ready position. Hold on, like let me go through it one more time. So when the player starts off right here, right? If the
Mm-hmm.
arms are already close to the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
They will most likely in their shoulder turn, if they just coil the upper body, right? They will most likely stay in that position, right? So I always tell them at the beginning that the elbows are freely a little bit more, that the arms are a little bit more in front of them, and
Mm-hmm.
that there's a little space between your arms and your body, and then when they turn, they have a good distance in there too, like so.
Absolutely. I'm on board with that. And then one thing also, I
Mhm,
started this about a year ago and it's made a good difference
mhm.
is watch him in between. So watch his ready position here. Go ahead, let him hit,
Okay, here we go.
and then watch his ready position for the next one.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay. Yep. Freeze right there. Okay. So if he's playing a tennis match
Hmm.
and he hits a backhand,
Hmm.
what does he do after he hits the backhand? He goes to his forehand ready position. And then he's switched. No one plays and rests with a backhand grip. So the grip change
Hmm.
and that ready position is always switching from a forehand. You never sit with a backhand and then switch to a forehand grip. So even when I'm
Okay.
feeding or hand tossing, I
Mhm.
always make people after every rep reset to their forehand grip and ready position. And so
So
they're constantly changing grip. But
I like that. So they hit their backhand and then they change to their forehand grip
yep,
when you
and
okay.
in between, so it's just a quick grip change to your forehand, and then I feed you another backhand. And you've got to change your grip to your backhand because they will never hit a backhand and then keep their backhand grip and hit a backhand in a match. That will never happen. And so it's a very subtle thing, but he's just got his backhand grip locked in.
Yeah.
He's hitting it, and then he's sitting right there again. And it's like part of that ready position is already unnatural because he'll never wait with that grip. You know what I mean?
So
So
so having that point for regular ground stroke, I like that because you're supposed to hit. Ideally, in the best scenario, you have like 65% forehands in the match. You would like to hit something like that. I don't know. Craig O'Shaughnessy, a good friend of mine, he has those great numbers always. So, but for the return, there's still some players, right, who are waiting with the backing grip. Like, do you teach them like, is it style or because they most how do you see that when
You
you
know,
return?
if I could have a perfect world and they have a two-hand backhand, their right hand is on their forehand grip, their left hand is on their backhand grip, so they only have to change the right hand, right?
Right.
When I played, I sat with my backhand grip. My forehand sucked, so that's a different story. But I sat with my backhand grip and I was great, but I had to block a lot of forehands.
I got
So
you.
sometimes, like once the speed got so fast, I had a hard time switching to my topspin forehand grip. So I'd chip a lot of forehands.
Hmm.
And then if I knew they were going to serve to my forehand, sometimes I would sit on that grip.
Hmm.
And that was super inefficient. And I was not an incredible returner.
Hmm.
But I think if you have your right hand on your forehand grip, if it's a forehand, you just let go of your left hand.
Hmm.
Easy. If it's a backhand, all you have to do is slide your right hand to your backhand grip. Your left hand is already on your
Yes.
backhand grip.
Okay, got you. Yes,
So
agreed.
that's what if what I would think would be ideal.
Hmm.
That's what I would do. But
Okay.
again, there are times, and I find a lot of amateur players don't get to this point, but there were definitely times where I was 1000% convinced they were serving to my forehand, and I am sitting on a forehand
Hmm.
completely. So there are times where maybe you could cheat even if
Hmm.
you have a nice neutral grip like that. If you are
Hmm.
1000% convinced based on tactics or your opponent's inability to serve to a certain location, and you can just sit on a return and feel like it's T-ball. That's also possible.
Yeah, I like that. That's why I like those those video sessions that I learn. I agree. That's important. When I look back, I play one hander. I think I was always waiting with the backhand grip, and then I changed to forehand. But
Mm-hmm.
like as I said, makes more sense obviously because it's easier if you have a forehand grip. You just get to continental and you can just kind of hit it back. I agree. Yeah, totally. One more thing I want to
Yeah.
ask you.
So,
Yeah,
oh, go
you go
ahead.
ahead. You go ahead.
Well,
I'll go ahead.
the only other thing I had for him is, can you go slowly on his take back
Yes.
right when he drops his racket below the ball,
Yes.
right when he gets his lowest, right about there.
That's
Good.
exactly what I wanted to ask you with the
Yeah.
tip, right?
Yeah.
Like
What's
not
that? Sorry.
point. Like I would say right now, his tip should point more down in that moment in the leg state, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's not very below the ball, and
Yeah.
like part of it is he could definitely bend his legs more. That
Yes.
will certainly help that.
Yes.
But again, I view his shot as very linear, very jammed, very across. There's not a lot of lifting and verticality in that. So that the tip of his racket really isn't that much below the ball.
Yeah. Should be pointing like down. Definitely. Yes. That's
Mhm.
another thing. Since we're on that, one last thing, maybe. I always use Curious as an example. Like years ago, I think he changed it obviously a little bit, but I call it kind of or like Roddick. Like I think a little bit he did that, kind of like pushing it back with the backhand, like, and I feel like if they would have gotten the racket head a little bit more underneath the ball and be, like they could have penetrate the ball a little bit more. I feel like I always call this what he's doing like a safe push backhand. But if you really like with the wrist good and flexible and you get the racket in a good lag face, obviously, if he would load the legs more and explode more, his racket would drop a little bit more better into the lag face. The same with the serve, right? When we jump up there and
Mhm.
accelerate towards the sky, the racket falls into the right place almost automatically. I think if you would push like load more and get the arms a little bit lower and then he accelerates with the legs, he would get this racket a little bit better in this position too.
Yeah, like you're talking about those backhands, kind of like Cam Norrie today. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't drop it at all. It's a shovel. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. So anyone who knew me as a player, I mean, I had very, very ugly ground strokes. But one thing I did
Hmm.
instinctively was, I know I want my racket in that position. So when I took it back, I just dropped it right away.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
never took my racket head up. And this wasn't by design, by the way. Like, I wish I had a better looking forehand and backhand. But even though it was very ugly and it did have some limitations because of that, I was always able to hit up on the ball.
I like that.
So I hit the ball great. It looked like garbage. It did not look pretty at all.
But you
but
got the job done technically because you did this wrist thing. Yeah.
I eventually got in that position. I just forced it really early, and I wasn't able to use gravity and all these things, but it did go in, and it was a very good shot because I was coming low to high on it. And so, right here, he's actually got a much better take back than me, whatever, but then he doesn't drop the racket.
Yeah.
And so
I like that so much because what I did wrong when I was playing on the serve, I was stiff a lot of times on my first serve. And my coaches just said, like, when you bounce the ball, just do this, like I bounce it. I just, when you do, like, I was not like Boris Becker, but like, at the beginning, he just said, like, you wait. And then just before you start all the motion, just drop your, just think that you drop your racket. So my hands were automatically in this position, and then I could go palms down, like that little thing triggered in me that I could go up like this and not, being stiff and getting that racket up. I still, like,
I think people call that the Cobra, right?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like because I had that on my serve. My hand was very down on the way back, and it was very relaxed. And then someone said it looks like a Cobra.
You see, that you talking about the Cobra. It's what I teach the players when there's a lot of players on the serve. I know we're off topic, but I still want to get to a lot of players on the serve. Right, they fall into the waiter waitress position or however you call. I tell them when they're in the trophy pose. I tell them it's like the Cobra, like this is the head of the Cobra.
Yeah,
and they have to be like this. And you know what? Kids actually remember that. It's weird.
sure.
They're in this position, and then this is the Cobra head here, the snake, and then the kids want to be in a snake position. So they get the racket up and they're literally up. Like, I was like, okay, that worked for me. I just wanted to share that, like
absolutely.
No, I love it. Yeah, overall great back. And what I wanted to tell you is that's why I picked him too, because I worked yesterday on that. And as you told me, like with the follow through. So what I like to do is I like to put like actually a ball under his armpits. And then I toss him a ball, and he has to, if he doesn't follow through enough, the as bigger the ball is, it's not going to fall out, right? So you can, so I let him swing a few, and then what we did yesterday too, like every time when he was hitting the ball to hold the finish, so he can check. That's, I think, in my eyes is very important to go very methodically on there. So I dropped him the ball. He had to hit and hold his finish, and his butt cap. I always tell him his butt cap has to point forward, and both arms, like I can't do it now with the mic, but both arms are up. And so it looked better. I'm gonna show you later. I'm gonna send you the video when he did it
good.
Like, really good in the end, So no, that's why I love doing those things. Yeah. So that was awesome, Jonathan. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man, it's fun to come on. I can talk tennis all day, so this was a blast for me.